All right. That seems. Is that what? Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because you're mirroring over here.
Where am I muted?
No, you're mirroring. These are on the hand, my face.
No, because. Hold on. All right.
Yeah, that's excellent. Why do we have that one showing over there?
What do you mean by that?
Why do we have the view that's up here showing that?
Because this one's one place. It's not echoing now.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. I'm totally deaf. All right.
Does that work? Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah.
How many dusters does it take? Okay. I think we have figured this out. And I'm going to make sure that we're recording. We are recording, allegedly. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So now it is 11:50 on the night. And it is public session. Let's try the roll call again. Mary Beth Baptista.
Bill Walter, ND.
Kate Wright, public member.
Josh Luker, public member.
Megan Liberty, ND.
Ryan Martin, ND. Ryan Manerick, ND. Okay. Now we have the required video. Now we can go to case resolution update.
Yes.
Um, I think this is where you start, Megan.
21 dash 13. I make a,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to amend the consent order to terminate probation effective today, June 9th, 2025.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Case 23-07-25, I make a motion to deny request for early probation.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Cases for board review, case 24-06-19, I make a motion to dismiss.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Case 24-11-32, I make a motion to dismiss.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Case 24-12-39, make a motion to continue investigation.
Bill
Yeah.
Walter, second.
No. We don't need to say.
Okay, case 25-01-01, make a motion move to reprimand 2 hours CE of patient communication and 4 hours CE of cardiovascular treatment, risk reduction and management.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Now you have to do the motion to approve cases over 120 days.
I make a motion to approve cases over 120 days.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. On to-
You have to do the approval of the minutes.
Oh. Can I make a motion then?
Sure.
Make a motion to approve the April 21st, 2025 executive and public meeting minutes.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now we're on the doctor.
Did you do both at the same time?
It's.
Okay.
I just want to get these guys reappointed.
All right, keep it going.
What do we need to do? Do we need to make a motion on this one?
Well, we need,
Do it, I mean, and then,
yeah, on each of them. So, both Doc Martin and Dr. Zia, I almost just said, I don't even know why. Anyways, Robles Hernandez, their terms are going to be up in the fall, but because of the legislative session, that we have to do it now, even though it's not going to cut your terms short. My understanding is that you both reapplied. Your understanding is that you did too. And I saw that you're in there, but did you have to submit an additional application?
I submitted a new resume.
You submitted a new resume. You just submitted yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I couldn't get documents from either of you. But I just added the original applications. And so I guess you make a motion to approve each of them, and then you ask for discussion, and then you vote.
Okay.
And you guys don't need to leave, obviously, because you can vote for yourselves.
so I make a motion.
To recommend to the governor.
Recommend to the government board reappointment for Dr. Zia Robles Hernandez
A second.
in the upcoming term, I guess, the next term.
Term, yep, any
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. I make a motion to recommend to the governor for board reappointment for the next term, Dr. Ryan Martins.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes.
did you vote against yourself? Just be like, get me out of here.
Mr. On record. Begrudgingly here.
Okay. All right. So, on to our first agenda item. Let me get water. As we all recall, and I hope this was water and I just took the water. as we all recall, the last session, the April meeting of the board, we had a discussion about the manner in which we post discipline, and that there was a complaint from Dr. Cooper that by posting discipline on our website under a discipline page the way that we do, it indexes through Google high on her Google search. And she has asked for you all to consider whether or not we should make those changes. Just want to remind everybody that this is entirely within my discretion because it's an administration of the board, but I still do want to hear your opinions. I certainly heard a lot of opinions last time from everybody who's in this room, except for Josh Looper was not in the room. He was not at the meeting in April. He was an excused absence for the holiday in his family. So Josh, as we discussed, full transparency, as we discussed, we were waiting to hear what your opinion is, and you at least reviewed the minutes. Have you reviewed the recording as well? Okay. But you understand the issue, you reviewed the minutes, and the minutes were pretty detailed. Do you have an opinion about changing the website?
Yeah, so again, I'm totally, I think our website should be reflective of, it should represent us professionally, it should do the best job it can, as a website reflecting our board and our profession. I think there should be a high level of transparency, it should be well organized, it should look like a really good thing. So I'm not in favor, so I'm not opposed to ever changing or updating what our website says. I think what I'm having trouble with is the reason we're looking at this is due to the fact that we're almost coming up too transparently and we're too visible. So I have a problem with looking at changing something based on coming at it from this position. I think we really do the minimal as far as what we have on our website. I know other boards, the OMB actually puts out emails, emailing everybody on their list, their newsletters, letting everyone know, who's the status updates for cases, for reprimands, for all these different things. So I don't think our board does that. So I feel like we do the bare minimum for listing disciplines and things like that on our website. So again, I sort of have a problem with us trying to adjust anything at this point to try to manipulate the algorithm of Google so that we're less transparent and we're less visible to the public. So I just see that as problematic for us to have this as a basis for making changes.
Okay. Okay, so here's how I want to approach this for now. So Dr. Cooper sent me several other emails. She had a petition circulating about other state laws. And so I feel like for the public record, I need to clarify that. I am not going to regurgitate my argument from last time. You've all heard it. But I do feel like for the public record, I do need to address the issues that were brought up by Dr. Cooper in the interim. And then after that, we'll see if there's discussion that's not a rehash of last time, and then we'll move on that, okay? So first of all, Dr. Cooper, and I think you saw, circulated a petition among the people who were most recently disciplined. It's in the public packet. It's in the additional ones that were sent. And so the additional thing that was sent on Friday. So the petitions, yeah, because she sent it to me on Friday. I think we loaded it on Friday. It could have been Thursday. Last week was really.
Any updated public packet?
Yeah, I think that.
Staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Updated.
Yeah, because I think it was sent on Friday because I think I got it from her on Friday. Anyways, it could have been Thursday, but my son graduated, so last week was a blur. Anyways, so the petition is basically that she circulated amongst the licensees that have been recently disciplined, is asking the petitioners to whether or not they agree that we should post discipline in the same manner as California, Arizona, and Washington. And my initial reaction to that is, as we discussed multiple times over various ways, all state laws start and end at our borders. And so the idea that we would compare to other states is problematic because other states have different discipline laws, public records laws, confidentiality laws, public information request laws. It's not the same. But with that said, I did look into some ways that Washington State, Arizona, and California handle discipline. And I think that there's some pretty significant omissions in the idea that just because they don't post it on the website means that they don't have it publicly available. Because in Washington State, the state of Washington, every time or on a monthly basis, if not more, when the Washington State Department of Health, which includes naturopaths and doctors and all sorts of different health professions, when they have a disciplinary action, they send a press release. They send a press release to the press, obviously, in Washington. They send it to all of the regulatory agencies, including the Oregon Medical Board. And not only do they have press releases of their discipline, they also have press releases of informal dispositions of cases, which we never do, right? We only have the public discipline on the website. So when the naturopaths discipline in Washington, it's included on that press release. It's sent to all of the organizations. How I never got one before, I don't know, but I'm certainly going to start to get them. And when you I looked at a press release from May of 2025. When I Googled one of the people that were disciplined on that press release, Esther Val from Washington, that's why I put Esther Val, Washington, the discipline came up first on the Google search. When I Googled somebody who was disciplined in July 2024, off of that press release from July 2024, that came up first on the Google search. So it's incorrect that the manner in which Washington may post it is not showing up on a Google search, because it does, because we have a press release that's out there. In California, and this goes to especially to Dr. Martin and Dr. Larrabee, who you had part of your comments for this. In California, there's what's called the Patient's Right to Know Act, and that requires naturopathic doctors who are placed on probation for acts of serious misconduct to notify their patients, and that they have to, and that's for any act of sexual abuse, misconduct, or relations with the patient, drug or alcohol abuse that directly related to harm, or impairment that impairs the ability for a licensee to practice, criminal convictions, or inappropriate prescribing that results in harms to patients. When you are disciplined for that, you have to not only notify your patients, you have to link your webpage to the board's webpage, and you have to have a patient sign that they've been made aware that they're disciplined for those acts. So that's a way that clearly we don't do that here, but that's one of the transparency pieces that happen in California. Arizona, again, we only display final actions. In Arizona, dismissed complaints are available to the public. They're not put on the website, but you can do a public records request and get a dismissed complaint from the public. Complaints here are completely confidential. You'll never see that happen. Disciplinary and non-disciplinary actions. So letters of caution, or you shouldn't do this that way anymore, which we don't do because we only do formal discipline. Those are also put on the website. And advisory letters where if you dismiss a complaint and say, this is the advice. Those aren't on the website, but those can be get through public records too. Additionally, the public records law in Arizona is that you're only allowed to have discipline on your record for 5 years, which is clearly different than how we have it. So to say that these other states do it and we want to be consistent, I think we should be careful what we wish for, right? About how you want to be consistent. Like, do we need to notify patients? Do you want non-disciplinary orders? So I think that that's an inconsistent argument from what was presented. Bill asked me to have a conversation with the health-related licensing boards at our quarterly meeting, which I did. The medical board lists licensee discipline through monthly board meeting minutes. We talked about that last time. It's on the website dating back to 2017. Again, I went through completely different people. And again, when I found discipline from March 2025, it was the first Google search for Gary Levinson. And Izar Lawson was disciplined in July 2024, the same as Dr. Cooper. And that was third on the Google search. And I understand that she also asserted that when the medical board's Google search comes up, it says licensee verification, and that's a significant difference. That she said, well, it's important to note that the first two sentences under the Google search will say entered into a stipulated order with the board for unprofessional or dishonorable conduct. That was Levinson. And then Lawson was allegations of negligence caused by multiple surgeries and permanent disfigurement, right? So it may say licensee verification, but the language underneath of the Google search clearly says that what the discipline is. I had a long conversation with the executive director of the Oregon Medical Board. She assures me that she gets complaints just like Dr. Cooper's, but from medical doctors, that people are upset that their Google search algorithm for the medical board is showing up in the same way. So yes, we have had differing Google searches on if we could find medical doctors or not. I think one of Dr. Cooper's main points was that doctors can afford to do these scrubs, right, for thousands of dollars. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's happening for some of these medical doctors. There's also a completely different institutional setup for naturopathic doctors as there are for medical doctors. People who are part of surgeon centers, people who are part of hospitals. It's probably likely that those major corporations are helping with the Google searches as well. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. But I do know that the medical board assures me, and I have found it multiple times, that the Google searches are showing the doctors up on top. In fact, she gave me a name from 2008 that I Googled, and it still shows up. I checked in with the Board of Dentistry because I'm thinking doctors, right? So I checked in with the Doctor of Dentistry. So interestingly, the Board of Dentistry in 2014 moved to do exactly what you're all discussing, to remove their names from the board minutes, remove their name from the newsletter, and remove their name from the website. Now, I know you're all not suggesting we go that far, but ask the board. And at the time, in 2014, the board did vote to remove all but in the meeting minutes. So they took it out of their newsletters. Oh, and that's the other thing, as Josh pointed out, the Oregon Medical Board also, in their newsletter, quarterly newsletter, lists all of the people that had been disciplined, and that goes out to all of their licensees. We do not do that. It might make people read the newsletter if I did it, but that's beside the point, right? Like, and that's clearly what happens in the law, right? And so I understand. So we do not announce to all 1,200 licensees or all the medical boards in our newsletter who's been disciplined. The medical board does that. So that's another difference. So the Board of Dentistry keeps it in their minutes now with names. Now, we don't do that with our minutes either. In our public minutes, we just have the case number. We don't identify the person in our public minutes who has been disciplined or there's been a proposal of discipline, right? We don't do that. The Board of Dentistry does, but they removed it from their newsletter. And when they removed it, the Oregonian on July 11th, 2014, captured the whole thing with its headline saying, Oregon Board of Dentistry makes details of new discipline cases harder to find. And they go on to say that the former president said, well, it's like pouring, those who've been disciplined don't want their names out in the community. It's like pouring salt on the wounds. I can give you all, and I'll give you all the links, so I'm not going to read the whole article to you. But the previous executive director of the Oregon State Nursing Board was asked a comment, and she said, the idea of releasing names of those recently disciplined is that the public has a right to know this information. Yes, it's incredibly embarrassing for those people that were disciplined, but the state has given you a license and you have public trust. And I personally believe that naming people is a deterrent. So even with the idea that they're not posting it in their newsletters anymore, if you go into, I went into the minutes, and I went into the minutes of February 2025, and I found a dentist that was disciplined, and I put in her name with discipline at the end, Noelle Calmero discipline. She was disciplined in 2025, and it showed up first and second on her Google search. I found somebody from June of 2024 from those minutes, and I did Matthew Berman orthodontist discipline, and it came up third and fifth on the Google search. So the idea that we are not in line with other medical boards in Oregon is certainly not holding water as well. The Board of Nursing I want to make a correction. The Board of Nursing doesn't do it exactly like we do. I thought it did. It does it akin to what the medical board does through the minutes, but it does, like us, come up on the Google search as licensee discipline. And again, I picked two completely different new nurses than the people I picked last time. And it showed up first on the Google search from somebody from July 2024, or July. Oh, I guess I did two people from July 2024, and one was first on the Google search. Both were first on the Google search. And I want to tell you, because I'll tell you this in a minute, I just picked random names. I didn't wait. I didn't weed through all the names to find. I literally, to be completely transparent, I picked two people, and I would have told you if they didn't show up on the Google search. I didn't cherry pick. I literally just took the first or second name on the minutes. So I'm not cherry picking which ones worked. For example, the Oregon Physical Therapy Board has a list of the licensees that were disciplined on their website all the way back to 2001. So if you can go and see 24 years, a list of 24 years worth of discipline. However, when you Google any of the most recent discipline, it didn't show up. I think there was one person, but it was like serious, like he was arrested, and yes, that's right. He was arrested. He had multiple lawsuits. So yeah, that showed up all over Google, but I thought, okay, that's an anomaly. Let me look for other people. And they did not show up on the Google search, but they have 21 years. So where we are, things that I wish I had brought up last time. We discipline on an average 8 to 10 licensees a year. That's less than 1% of the licensee base. The average number, now, so here, another thing that I think is important to point out that I should have pointed out last time is we only have 5 years of discipline on the webpage. We don't have 10, we don't have 15, we don't have 20. So we have 5 years of discipline for this algorithm to pick up discipline. So on average, that would mean we have generously 50 people that are on the website that can be picked up by Google. That's 4% of the licensee base. Currently, there's 36 licensees listed. That's 3% of the licensee base. And I checked my math because we know it's not my strength. The average length of discipline is 2 years. So having discipline on a website for 5 years when the average is 2, but we have done 3. And obviously there's some that have done 1 year of probation or reprimand, but still 5 years. And so here's where I'm coming to my conclusions. Everything about this, everything since Governor Kotek has come into office has been about increase in transparency. We are public servants. We are doing the public's business. The public has a right to know. We've had to revamp our website to put public notices of rulemaking. We've had to revamp our websites to put our strategic plan, our DEI plan, our budget documents, which I have to do because as I was looking about what is supposed to be on our website, that's one of them. Our KPMs, which I also have to do, which is our key performance measures. It's this directive that is constantly that we have to increase our transparency. And as we now learned, right, it's not just a recording of the public minutes that have to be on our website. We have to have Zoom on our website. So everything is moving in the direction of more transparency. And I think that to change course, to have less transparency and have that less transparency happen in this public session and have it be moving backwards where we all understand that the way that we post it shows up on Google, but there are ways to manipulate it for it not to. I don't want those statements to be misconstrued, and I don't want that action to happen. Naturopaths are primary care doctors. You are all, you have the most expansive formulary and one of the most expansive scopes of practice in this country. Often we tout the association, myself tout that that Oregon is the leader in the profession. And I truly believe that what our mission is to protect the public and the patients. And I understand that, as the article in the Oregonian said from 10 years ago, it might be embarrassing. It might feel like there's salt in the wounds, but the public has a right to know before engaging in care, especially in cases where there is patient harms. And I believe most especially in cases where there's unethical behavior. They have a right to know that before they engage in care. So a public searchable disciplinary record that is indexed in Google, I did not think hurts the profession. I think it promotes transparency and public trust, and I think it's good for you all. And even if you disagree, my mission from the governor is to make sure that there's protection of the public in the most transparent way. So I am not inclined to change this at all. I will commit to only having it be there on 5 years. The only reason it's 5 years right now is because it was getting too clunky. And so we shortened it at the beginning of the year, but I will make that compromise and I'll commit to it only being listed in the way for 5 years. Now, if you all disagree, the remedy for that is you make a motion to change my discretionary authority and remove this from my discretion. And this can be your decision to do. That's where we're at. So does anyone have any comment on all of that?
I have a problem with the petition.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you. It just, the way that it's worded, well, first of all, you pointed out all of these aspects where we are not similar to these other states, and where if we were, there would actually be potentially a lot more information out there. And a lot of direct communication of information that a disciplined licensee would feel was adverse to their feelings and their interests. And we don't have all that. But I also have a problem that the petition says that that the request is based on supporting providers who have had unfortunate events happen to them. I have a problem with that language, because it's very passive. It implies that there's no fault or no, no wrongdoing in any of these cases where we have sat and thoughtfully deliberated whether there's something wrong or unethical or negligent that happened. So to say that something has happened to these licensees, I have a problem with that as a basis for the petition. And then I also have a problem with the petition saying that we deserve non-discrimination. This is not a form of discrimination, and I don't like that word being thrown around inappropriately. If a licensee commits misconduct or an ethical breach or negligent practice, they are not being discriminated against by us being transparent about that action. So those are two issues I had where, if we are even considering this petition, I don't think it's appropriate. And I don't think the purposes for which it's offered are appropriate either. And I just want to mention that.
Thank you.
And I agree with, I'm not gonna vote. I guess there's several other people on the board, so.
Yeah, I mean, I want to second your picking up on the wording of the petition. I agree. I think that's implying it's misconstruing what board discipline is and how much time we spend on figuring this out, because it wasn't something that was done to our practitioners. It was a decision that was made or something that was done that doesn't follow our principles, and as a result, as a consequence, that's what it is. I do also think that Mary Beth obviously did a lot more research beyond the limited information we were given last time, and I think it gives a little bit more context. So I don't have any further issues with where we are right now, hearing the totality of how we compare or don't compare and how things are dealt with. I'm fine with it.
Thank you for doing that.
Just some detailed questions. You were saying that it was Washington, where they have them tell their patients that they're like assessed in misconduct or something.
That's California.
That's California.
Well, yes, right.
There's a list of things that they have.
Wait, okay, go ahead, Esther.
So was that Was that only while they're on probation or the entire time they have their license?
Oh, I have the information in front of my face, so I should just. There's other people maybe wanting to be let in.
It's probably an affirmative obligation to notify once the thing has been conclusively determined. I would imagine that it's not a obligation, but at least a.
Actually, it was a time
The
thing.
one
Once
time
the
off.
decision has been made, you need to let your current patients.
Hold on, I can tell you the answer to that question. Sorry, there was people that were waiting to get in and it didn't ding on my phone, so I didn't know, but I've let them all in now.
In Washington, at least according to the article, they were saying. That it was only during probation.
Okay, so yes, oh, and I forgot,
Wages.
right. Yes, so yeah, that's right. So in Washington, there is a patient's right to know. I did just deal with the California one because it was more expansive. There is another law in Washington where if it's sexual misconduct, I think it was in that article that I sent you all, the KGW thing, right? So that was saying, that's why I didn't repeat it, that while you're on probation. And in California, yes, the law requires licensees placed on probation to notify their patients of their probationary status for cases that involve the following, which I said before. The licensee serving a probationary term for the violations cited above are required to provide a separate disclosure to the patient or patient's guardian or health surrogate before the patient's first visit following the probationary order. The separate disclosure, so they have to it's part of the consent to be treated, right? So it has the licensee's probation status, length of probation, probation end date, all practice restrictions placed on the licensee, the board's number, and explanation on how the patient can find further information about the licensee, and link to the licensee's profile. So their website has to be linked to the licensee profile page of the board's online licensee information website. So I know you know, the comments were kind of offhand last time, like, well, what do you want us to do? Post it on our website and have it, linked. Apparently, California does want that for the most serious things. So you do actually have to have on your website your probation. Yeah, but so yeah, so it does. You have to have the license. So and then you have to have the licensee shall obtain from the patient or patient's guardian or healthcare surrogate a separate signed copy of that disclosure. So yeah.
When you said the percentage of our disciplinary action is 1%. Did you look into how many?
Annually.
How many MDs are disciplined?
No, but they have so many different right? Like, I mean, it would be hard to say all of the licensing. I mean, like, you're talking about actual medical doctors or DOs or everybody that the medical board licenses. I don't know.
Yeah. According to that article again is 144 in 10 years.
Mhm.
So, 6.
Well, I guess because of the numbers being so low of how many people they license, but yeah. And it's less than 1%. It's like 0.8899, whatever, so I just rounded to 1% because I didn't want to purposely sandbag it, right? Like I wanted to be, right? So yeah, and I didn't get into the mathematics of how many people have been disciplined more than once, right? So you can have discipline on different years, but it's the same person. So because the numbers are so low, and I understand where the conversation was happening, like, it makes the profession look bad. It makes us look like we're disciplined more. It makes us more out there than anybody else. Well, one, all the examples I gave you of how you can find these people is one. But the other thing is, this is not about, 1,150 licensees, right? Like this is 50 over 5 years, right? Like, and so I just wanted to make sure that we had in perspective how many licensees we were actually talking about when we were talking about concern for the profession as a whole. So I thought the numbers, some people are numbers people. I thought that might be helpful, or at least context, as Ryan said.
Right, no, and that's why I read. You know, obviously, this isn't gonna change. Do a whole lot there. I do believe though that, you know, there's maybe a bit of a. I'm trying to think of the right word that I would use, but connotation that any of us who were saying, well, we don't really like this idea, or trying to hide bad things, help bad doctors do bad things, become, you know, whatever. And I think that one is that, you know, again, we do discipline more. And I think that goes to say, I mean, it says even one thing, either we are more aggressive about our safety and whatnot. I believe that sitting on this board, we work hard and, you know, I mean, these things weigh on us. I mean, I'm up at night thinking about these doctors. And I think it's, you know, I think we do a really great job. And I don't think that anybody's saying, I want to hide this whole thing, or we want to, you know, scam the public and, you know, make naturopaths look like they're different than they are. Because again, the MDs are, I mean, over 10 times, we do 10 times more discipline. I know these numbers are small in the percentages. So we're doing the work, we're doing the hard work. I just also think that, you know, at a certain point, there is this question of, you know, how long does it follow you, right? And how hard does it follow you? I mean, because the reality is things like, you know, putting that probation, if you walk into a doctor's office and saw sexual misconduct, you'd walk straight back out. And that's the effect of it, right? And I think that's fair. I actually think that that's an okay concept. I would not be opposed to a law that said, you know, if you were on probation, which we don't do that really. Like doctors that do sexual misconduct don't tend to come back. But if you were, then the idea that you would be, you know, you would have to do that, I think that's not. But well, the interest is that it's also any. I don't know that you should personally. You're really big with sexual misconduct, right? That should be a big deal. But anyways, I think we do a great job. I think we're doing a great job. I just want to make sure that that's the thing.
Thank you.
I also want to mention in terms of the amount, we can only investigate what's brought before us. And we don't control, you know, the number of complaints. So I think.
Well, that'd be the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, do we know what percentage of complaints they close with no investigation?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point to bring up, and I don't want to belabor it, but the Oregon Medical Board has multiple other avenues than we do. We have discipline or not, right? They have, and I was going to list them all, but I felt like we weren't going to want to listen to me for that long, so I just tried to hit the high points, right? Like I just wanted to get to the main points, but they have, you know, letters of correction. They have a lot of non-disciplinary avenues. And in fact, if you actually read the audit of the Oregon Medical Board, which I did, which made me realize that we have some work to do, that Megan has been begging me to do a discipline matrix, and I keep promising I'm going to do it. We absolutely have to do it because the medical board just got audited for that. And one of the main pieces of that audit, and I don't want to speak for it because I read it couple days ago, but what I remember from it is that there was no consistency in kind of the reason why complaints are dismissed. Like I think an interesting argument would be like, how many dismissals are there for the amount of complaints they get in? I think that might be more relevant than how many actually end up getting in discipline, or at least context. And then there's also just multiple ways, advisory letters, non-disciplinary change letter. Like they have so many different avenues to deal with complaints that we don't. Like we get a complaint, we investigate it. Does it meet the burden? Yes. Okay. Discipline. No. Then it's dismissed. They have a lot of other tentacles. So, you know,
all of those concepts still go to my basic questions. We're doing a good job here. We are not trying to hide. We are taking care of our profession. Very professional and forthright. And again, you know, all that says all the more than people would think.
Okay, anybody else have comments and
And we'll get to public comment down the road, or open
Yep.
public comment for anything, but anything on this topic within this room.
Mary Beth, I appreciate the diligence you put into looking at what the other states with naturopathic licensing do, as well as what the other health boards, health-related licensing boards here in Oregon do. I think that's an exceptional amount of due diligence in terms of comparing our apples to Oregon's apples and the other states' apples. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, yes, Google is forever, but it seems like pretty much no matter which direction you look, there's gonna,
And I
be transparent and available.
and I didn't bother with this because, but I think, Josh, did you Google somebody that had an older discipline and it didn't show up? Because
Yeah, I Googled a doctor maybe 6 or 7 years ago just to see what would come up. I couldn't find anything. If I entered in something more specific to try to link it to the website,
Yeah.
that's where it finally came in, but it's not easy to find it after a period of time.
yeah, so I will commit that we will have just 5 years on there. To your point, Doc Martin, like, should we have the Google algorithm, should be listed the same way 10, 15 years later? I tend to believe yes, but I also understand compromises can be made in that. And we literally cleaned it up because it was just too much information. But I feel like a 5 years is a very reasonable compromise to keeping it the way that it is, knowing that people are on probation 2 to 3 years. 5 years is a window of time, right? And if after 5 years there's no further action, then that's what we want and that's what we hope. And by the way, generally, other than a few, we have a very low repeat rate, right? And so I feel like 5 years is I'm willing to make that compromise that we have it in a manner in which Google picks it up for 5 years, and then it's through licensee lookup or through specific information. And I also like, Zia, your idea, and the medical board had it, of having a layperson's explanation of our standard of proof and what it means to be negligent treatment and what it means, and Kate, to your point, now I'm thinking about it, like, I think we need to, after looking at all of these websites, sitting in front of my fan yesterday, like dying of heat, after looking at all these websites, they do a better job of explaining the complaint investigation process, right? And so, we did a lot of changes on the website for continuing education because we needed to get those done first. But I learned a lot by looking at these websites in ways that we can explain our process, explain what discipline is in a lot cleaner way.
I just say something. Also, just remembering that we're here to protect the public, and that most of our discipline really consists of how do we help this doctor not make the same mistake again, so that they can be better providers. Really standing up for the profession overall. So, ultimately, we're looking for more quality, so that we can have more longevity and less complaints in all of that. So.
Yeah, and the recidivism rate is very low.
And what I've heard, I've heard from multiple, I've spoken to just lay people, like, hey, what's your opinion about? And when they see it and they look at, okay, this was the discipline and this person finished it, and that makes them feel better.
Mhm.
So it's not so much of a shame. I think the whole shame thing is really our own personal, the feeling because we did something. But ultimately for the public, it's more of a reassurance, like, okay, they redressed this. They didn't lose their license, they're still in practice, and they probably should be full of their patients if they're great providers. So, ultimately, it's not really a disease. It feels that way if you're on the list.
Mhm, mhm.
But ultimately, it's not.
And I just want to say, as a board member, as a public member, I know our goal is, our disciplines are never retaliatory, they're never punitive, but they're not comfortable. And so I think that's what it comes down to, is disciplines typically.
Yes. Okay.
next topic.
All right.
We don't have delegation authority.
Yes. So this is where you'd make a motion. One, if you wanted to change any of the delegations of authority that I have. I know we did a few, and by the way, I just also, for the transparency's sake, I have it on the calendar for Robin every June to do best practices surveys and this delegation of authority. And so I wanted to make sure it was clear that like this happens every June, but this is also the time in which if you want to make any changes to that delegation of authority, this is the time to do it. We provided it in the packet. Some of the hangups, right? Or is it on the website? The delegation of authority. Oh, it's in there. Okay. I think I linked it. I try to reduce the amount of pages you all have to go through when I possibly can. I know we made some changes last year or maybe the year before because we were getting into some hangups about whether or not how much I could negotiate with the discipline. I think that's all been working really smoothly, unless you all don't. And so this is the moment to take a look and see if you want to make changes. And if you do want to, you have to make a motion to do that.
But did you say this was intended for?
So basically the delegation of authority, well, there's no rule at all that says when I have to do it, but there is a rule that there has to be a delegation of authority. And I like to just make sure that we take like, June seems to be a slow case meeting, right? So I throw a bunch of public stuff in June. And so I have in our calendar, right? Just like the best practices survey, the delegation of authority. So there's no rule that says you have to look at it every year. I just like for you to look at it every year in case there's something that you feel like, oh, this hasn't really worked, or maybe you should do this. So I just like to have it out there, which is when we started making some of the changes to the negotiation piece. Remember, because I would have to come back to you all, even though it was within the window, anyways. So this is where you would say, if you don't think that I'm using the authority that is delegated to me appropriately, this is where you would make changes.
I have no concerns with the delegation of authority as it currently stands, and I appreciate all of the work that you do on behalf of the board. Particularly, I'm very appreciative of the work that you're doing on the CE process. So I've got no concerns. Just wanted to thank you on this.
Thank you.
Any other comments, concerns?
We want to make sure we're authorizing this for a year.
There's no timeline on it. It's basically if she's made it a point to like just every June have it check up in case we need to, but there's no like rule that says it has to be done in this specific timeline. It just has to be reviewed at some standpoint.
Right. And then, but we do sign it for, like, we've signed it for a year because I think that's good. Yeah.
It says on the document, this delegation of authority is to be reviewed and updated biannually. The last thing it was updated and voted on was according to this document.
And I think because one of the things was when I was, we were changing to give me more authority to do things, there was a concern about like, well, how long does this last? And what if you do? And so then I said, okay, well, we'll do it every year. It's not a rule, but I said we will do it every year. So when we sign it, we'll sign it for a year.
But what's written in here says 3 years.
I don't care.
What's written there is there, like, we'll just do it for a year because that's how everybody feels comfortable.
No, it says
written by
Wait, biannually?
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
biannually.
Which is every other year.
Oh,
Every 2 years.
oh, and we signed it 2 years ago. Okay, so I'm wrong. Sorry. So we every 2 years. I'm asking you, but also know that at any point, right? Like,
We can make a motion to then decide if we want to take. it.
right. So you don't have to, like, it's just easier to do it every 2 years. But, and I think that also, okay, now it's all coming back to me. It also coincided back in the day, you used to get a new chair every 2 years and it was in June. But now we just came chair in April. And like, so I think it used to go along with picking a chair in June. Okay. So that's why it was, and they would be chair for 2 years and then we'd move on to the next person. So now it's all coming back to me. But, so this is, right, so you want to make a motion to either continue the delegation of authority for 2 years, or you make a motion to change the delegation of authority as written.
I make a motion to continue the delegation as written.
A second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion passes.
Okay.
Great, best practice survey, do we need to talk about that? or-
No, I just was to remind you that we all need to, you all need to turn it in or email it to Robin.
Can we take 5?
Sure.
5, we'll resume it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, quick break, we'll resume at 12:25. That was my
Yeah.
understanding.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you, okay, so I got another thing. Rebecca, can somebody send a chat? Can you all hear us now? Okay, thank you. They can hear us now. Sorry, we just, we're having a conversation about, the IV therapy, and me not recalling the exact requirements. But now I understand anyone who wants to do IV therapy, anyone who wants to do any IV therapy
Yeah, it's not that vastly.
has to take the, okay, okay.
We've had other
Additionally, one of these two unique substances, or chelation or ozone, you have to need an additional.
As well as that,
You
okay,
have to have training and those specific inject dates, but everybody has to do, I mean, yeah.
If you're gonna do an IV, you better have done an IV.
okay,
You want new grad, yes,
New grad.
yeah, new grads, not old, not.
right,
If you're established.
right, well, and we didn't pass that rule until recent, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I need to change the website then because when I was writing the website out, saying the only people who needed to take the IV exam were chelation and ozone, I was like, I feel like this is wrong.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so that's why I added to this. So, okay. So I have some corrections that I need to do with a couple people, and I need to make that correction and I have I'm going to write the newsletter next month and I'll put it all in because I think I have made a mistake on that. Okay. Sorry. All right.
What's the mask covering? We need to repeal that or
Right.
need to take it away?
Yeah, I want to delete it, but it felt like it was rulemaking, so I felt like I needed a motion to do that.
That was pretty conditional to the COVID.
Yeah.
Emergency, so that doesn't apply.
Right. I
Do
just
we have
want
to make a motion to take that off the website.
We made our own specific rule though.
no, it was part of it was not, it was an emergency rule at first, which expired. Remember, because emergency rules only last for 6 months, but it was going to expire when the mask mandate was still there. I don't really want to go back into the COVID Wayback Machine, but it's not going, it is a permanent rule based on how the timing was when it went from emergency to permanent. I would like to get rid of it.
Okay. Yeah. So I make a motion to repeal 850-010-0301.
Bill Walter, second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Take
Okay.
it away.
All right.
Website changes.
Yeah, I really I was getting concerned that we were getting mid-year and people were not understanding the changes that were made, and I want it to be very, very clear. And our website was woefully out of date. It had all the old rules on it, and so when people would email me questions, I'm like, "Well, that's not what the website says." I'm like, "You're right." And so I went through and I tried to change the applications for CE in a way that would be more specific to what you were asking to do instead of just have this general form that never seemed to be filled out right. But I'm not the person who's looking at I think that this is all much clearer to me, and I think it all makes more sense to me, but that doesn't necessarily translate to the ND brain, right? Because we have been known to have a chasm there between what I think makes sense and what the rest of you think makes sense. So I mean, there's no motions needed or whatever. I just wanted you to call your attention, all of your attention to, and clearly I think I'm going to have to change the IV thing now because I've got that completely wrong. Glad we had this talk. But like, is this too much information? Not enough information? Like,
I think the explanations are good. I think they're definitely have better, more involved explanation than before. It was a little lost in legalese. Might be a little too much bold underlining where it gets almost too much on the other side on a couple of sections, but I think the essence of it's good. I'm just looking at the continuing education main page here.
Yeah.
where you have the license to start with an application for board approval, and then it continues, that's underlined and bolded, and then bolded.
Well, you know, it's because of
I
you.
get I get it,
It's
but
because
like,
you all would that one time where I didn't bold and underline something. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna bold. This is I'm gonna bold and underline everything now. And yeah, I'm gonna send out a newsletter in, well, we're almost in July, right? By the end of the month, right before 4th of July is my goal, so I can have freedom from it, independence from the newsletter.
I think the thing with that you put on there with under continuing education approval forms is good. That makes it really clear at the top. Prior to filling out this application, please check the board continuing to offer, because you don't have to do that. That was good. That's more explicit.
And Robin worked really hard to make sure, I mean, we still are stuck with a spreadsheet because our database is a nightmare. But she really did, like, if you put in keywords like ozone or cardiovascular, like it will pop up of what's been approved. So I am gonna make sure we're 100% clear in this July newsletter that what was accepted last year is not going to be accepted this year. Like I had a whole thing with somebody who taught a class, or like read texts that weren't peer reviewed that would have maybe qualified last time, but not this time. And so I want to make sure that, especially with those self-directed activities, that people don't come in on December 28th with 50 hours of reading encyclopedias and listening to Brene Brown podcasts again. That was a real thing. It's still in my head. The Brene Brown. Anyways, it's right, like no. So I mean, we don't have to, do this ad nauseum. I just wanted to make sure if there's anything glaring, like this IV thing, too much.
No, it was just one section. I can show you that.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
other spot was all good. It just like starting to be like, oh, I can just see you like, hey, don't do this. And just and do this. Do this. No, I told you that before. And it's taken me what, 4 years to understand how this all works anyways, and that's me being on the board 3 years or whatever.
There might be some truth. There might be some truth to that.
I'm still trying to figure out what's those.
You're getting to do that, like, I still feel.
Yeah.
But you guys are already renewed, right? Yeah, you're on the last.
Feel like-
Yeah.
I'm already grieving, so
Yeah,
it's
spill.
here.
Yeah, right. Goes a long way.
Hold on one second. Robin's calling me. Just
Okay.
we're still on Zoom. We're still recording. Hold on.
Probably about it.
Yeah, probably.
We're all wondering about it.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see if those fail this.
Do you guys know, like, for this, I'm looking at one of these Cs, like if you give presented at grand rounds, for example, and then they're asking for a certificate, letter of completion, and total numbers spent, signed by your supervisor, like, what if you don't have?
You can continue the conversation without me being here. Yeah. What if you don't have?
Anybody new? Like, if I gave a grand rounds presentation and I submitted under this, I'm looking at these forms, there's like 6 hours of CE self-directed activity.
Mhm.
And then it says I need something signed by my supervisor, but.
Well, no. There's only certain things that require, there's only certain things that require signature by a supervisor, not a presentation.
Presented a structured continuing ed program with scope of medicine. Signed by licensed supervisor.
I would take that as just whoever, like Dr. Martin was saying, just whoever hired or whoever like brought you on to do that, or just affirming.
Yes, they did actually come and get us.
Well, but I do want to make sure that I didn't make a mistake, because there are only certain things that require, and maybe you just write not applicable for that, right? Because there's certain things where you are required to have a supervisor sign, and there's certain things that you aren't. So it might have just been in there for those times, right?
I mean. So, yeah.
Where are you seeing signed by a supervisor part?
Like if you click on the CE sheet for licensee application for board approved approval of self-directed activities.
Uh-huh,
And then there's, you scroll down, there's different, like authorship is one, review and report, formal protocol writing,
right.
inflex.
Well, so-
Research.
right.
And then presentation of structured continuing ed program in the scope of naturopathic medicine in the state of Oregon. Maximum 6 credits, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is written record of hours signed by the licensee supervisor.
Wait,
Yeah, I see that. There's a whole lot of written.
oh, I might have made a mistake on that because,
Oh, you call it, good job.
yeah, because wait, where's this thingy?
There's a lot of them.
By the way, there's apparently like Grubhub dropped the ball and it like didn't pick it up, and so Robin's actually going to go pick up lunch. So sorry, but she's going to go get it. So that's why we're all sitting here. All right, so hold on.
So maybe that just needs to be taken out. Well,
Yeah,
signed by licensee supervisor, just that.
Can we go through these? So there's authorship. It does not say signed by licensee supervisor.
Yeah, I might.
Review and report does not say signed by licensee supervisor. Formal protocol for a healthcare facility or government healthcare agency.
That does say.
That says it.
But that, yeah, I wanted to say it there.
NPLEX signed by licensing supervisor or NPLEX designee, right? Typically with a letter from NPLEX that yes, you worked on NPLEX.
Research, yes.
Research signed by licensing supervisor.
Yeah,
Presentation of a structured CE program in the scope of practice of naturopathic medicine. That's weird to say signed by licensing supervisor.
does it say it in the rule? I might have messed up.
I don't see it in. But if I just go do a CE, I mean,
If you,
I think there's just some.
it's very likely that when I was cutting and pasting and whatever,
Just that extra line. So we can just take that part out.
so I'll double check self-directed. And I also, I know it's a lot of words, but I also wanted to make sure, because it actually was inspired by the person who sent me, a 32 hours of reviewing a book, right? Because the way that the form is, and he submitted it, like he didn't know that that wasn't okay. So I wanted to put in the actual form, what fits in this, because if it doesn't fit, right, you're not getting it. So
I do too.
Yeah.
This is great. Even for us, it's.
it's
We
clear.
don't have to keep looking back at the rule.
right, because that's yes.
Great. Anybody else find any things? Those are all minor.
Well, the IV thing's not minor. I got to really fix that,
Oh,
but that's my problem.
that's your legislative update.
Okay, so let's look at OList right now. Okay, so the governor signed it on the 5th.
What?
Our bill,
Which bill?
the discipline. No, sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
So we signed it. It got through. Yay! So now we have to create a discipline committee to rewrite our rules. Yes, governor signed it. Excellent. All right. Without the 2 provisions, and we're not going to talk about that again.
Okay. Senate bill? Oh, that's the budget.
The budget. Well, I'm here. Let's see if that passed too. I checked this the other day and it wasn't on there. Let's see. See. Carried to June 9th. Yes. So remember I told you that like there's all these rules where you can say, oh, you don't have to read everything from the beginning unless you want to make people read everything from the beginning to slow the whole process down. Apparently that's where we are with the budget, but there has to be an end date with budget. You can't close session with budgets open. So I'm not worried about this getting done. It's just when it's going to get done.
Okay, so University of Western States now has a naturopathic doctor program.
Yeah, apparently.
So it's official, I think, it's approved. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they showed some students.
And they were accredited, correct?
You know, they're candidates.
Oh, they're candidate. Okay, so as of
Oh,
as of this moment, they're not there, but they've been
so they're now starting the
accreditation.
process.
Right.
So how does that work for licensing? So if they,
So they sit for NCLEX student, right?
Not until they're accredited.
Well, yeah, but if they're accredited, then they go through the same process and they just go into the same pool.
That's right.
We just have two naturopathic colleges instead of one.
right, but given NUNM's troubles, maybe, I mean, University of Western States is, not that NUNM has been around for a long time too, but,
They need to be together.
were they?
The naturopaths used to be in University of Western States. And then they got checked out, and that's what they just make.
Review of OBM expenditure documents.
I honestly.
Okay, close here.
Oh yeah, because but we only have to make it to the 30th.
Oh, no, I meant to the end of it.
Oh, I know. Well, there's still public comment,
No, I
so
know,
that might.
we're getting close.
Yeah, I think that because I remember once I didn't give you guys the expenditure and the budget documents, and there was an issue when it was there, when my performance thingy came through. So I always try to make sure I give that to you.
Topics for summer newsletter, are you fishing for topics?
Yeah, so definitely gonna remind everybody about the CE.
Yeah.
And how it's changed. And how they need to be prepared that they should not be waiting until the last minute, thinking they can give us 32 hours of Brene Brown, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously I'll talk about, and I think, well, so I think should I put in the newsletter a discipline committee, or should we just wait a little while and get, because the bill, how do you want to handle the rules committee for discipline? Should I put that in the newsletter, or should we develop that a little bit more before I do that? Huh? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Don't know. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wait on that. I just didn't realize it was passed right now, so I don't know. Okay, so definitely the CE and understanding what the differences are. Anything else you can think of that we need to?
The IV one.
Yeah. Yeah, I messed that up. We might have to give some grace on that because I definitely told the wrong information, so we might have to
Figure that out.
Yeah.
Comments on reproductive health and gender affirming care. Particularly on the latter point, the protections of HB 2002 for providers in Oregon who are offering gender affirming care.
What do you want me to do?
I mean, if you're asking for topic for the newsletter, right?
Yeah.
So telling our licensees the protections that currently exist for gender.
Oh, okay. So HB what?
2002. This was a few years ago. So.
So we don't know. Okay, so it's not current.
It is current. I mean,
No, but the House bill is not current, so I'm gonna have to find the statute, is what I'm saying.
right.
Okay.
But basically, it provides a lot of protections for providers in the state of Oregon who are offering gender affirming care. And, anyway, lots of protections.
I will add that. And our bill had that in there too, like about discipline. That you can't be disciplined for specifically affirmative saying you can't be disciplined for doing gender and affirmative care. Like, so that was put in by legislative council because of this bill.
Sure.
So I think even in our discipline bill, that protection's filtered down.
But it's worth reading HB 203.
I will. All right, C8, gender affirming care. Any other thoughts? I'll introduce our new person.
What's that?
We'll obviously be saying goodbye to you, but I will introduce our new person. New member. Okay. Yes, I will. It's going to be a C heavy. Yes. Okay. Aspirationally, 3 times a year, but that has not been working out. So basically, I do. The only one I have to do is the renewal notice. That's in statute and rule. But I try to do one in the summer, and I've tried to do one in the spring, but it usually becomes a spring summer. So that's okay.
All right, so we received public comment for review emails from Dr. Cooper and Dr. Black, as well as petitions, which we touched on already on petitions. Any further discussion about those email exchanges? I mean, they were all revolved around what we already talked about.
Right. I got those very late, so that's what just ended up on that part of that. Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, so just as a reminder, public comment is comment. It's not, there's no, it's not for further discussion or, agreement, disagreement. It's just to hear the public comments. Hopefully I will be able to figure out how to so okay. Okay. So if there are participants that would wish to give public comment, please put it in the chat and I will unmute you. Thank you. Or you can show yourself and raise your hand. That's another option too.
Do they need to speak there? It's not public?
Hang on just a second, I'm trying to get my AirPods to work.
Okay.
We hear you.
Connect. Mary Beth, I think you said it was public comment time, is that correct?
Yeah, it is public comment time. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Hey guys, so I wasn't on for everything, but I just wanted to just be mindful of confirmation bias. You know, if I were on the board and there was a kind of a serious topic that came up, I would do my own research and not just rely on one person's input who already has made a decision. So it's just a little bit disappointing to hear. So it doesn't seem like.
Could you please say your name first so everyone knows who you are that's speaking?
Dr. Jocelyn Cooper.
Thanks. Okay, go ahead.
So it seems like, the rationale that I heard from Mary Beth wasn't all accurate. If you Google a provider and put discipline after their name, the discipline is going to come up. That's not reflective of just Googling their name. So it still doesn't speak to the fact that these orders come up. I also heard you reference other states that require notifications, but those are for gross actions, right? That's not what we're talking about for the majority of the people. I don't think really for any of the people that are listed We're not talking about sexual misconduct where you have to notify your patients. For example, I understand the concept of transparency. But in Arizona, you have, these reports are available, but you have to search for them. It's not just readily available. So I just disagree with what was presented unilaterally to you guys. You know, the last thing I want to say is that over the past couple of months, I had the privilege to talk to probably about 20 of the people that are listed on your discipline page, and was really blown away with how the discipline orders have affected them. Some of them weren't even aware that if they Googled their name, because they never had, that would show up. Some of them said that it was affecting their practice. But more importantly, it was the fact that they had disciplinary actions, and what it did to them psychologically and emotionally. You know, I heard from providers that contemplated suicide, that quit their profession, that retired, that moved out of state. I think you need to look a little bit further than your.
Dr. Cooper, sorry, not to totally interrupt you, but is this in relation to them Googling their name or the fact that they got disciplined as far as those feelings? I just.
The whole fallout. So the fact that there was discipline, and then the continued shame, right? And that comes along with it. And
Again, but the conversation is around this being a Google search from people. So I want to try to keep it pointed at that versus, you know, all those are relevant feelings and shame and how they're feeling and contemplation of suicide. Of course, is that related to them being Googled, or is that related to the whole topic of, you know, them under discipline? The two different things.
well, one leads to the other. So the initial disciplinary action, and then the fact that they have to live the rest of their career with a Google search that shows that they made a mistake. So I'm just suggesting that there's more to it than your noble, you know, your desire for transparency. There's other ways to go about it that were mentioned at the last meeting.
Okay.
So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to have public comments? Either on the screen or raise your hand. Okay. So Dr. Geller, you don't wish to make a public comment? Okay. You should be able to unmute now and if you want to have the video, I think you should be able to do that too.
All right. Thank you, board members and other members of the public that are listening. This is my first attendance to a board meeting. I am one of the doctors within that 5-year period that has been disciplined. And I'm really here to talk more about just the general ways that it has affected me, and it has affected my business. It's affected every single aspect of my personal life. The feelings of suicidality have come and gone. Most recently, I joined a business networking group locally and went through their vetting process and was a successful member to this point. Last week, I was notified that my membership would end. Nothing to do with my performance in the group, but it was because of this board discipline, and I understand that. The fallout that continues from this is difficult, and I'm not asking the board for anything other than to have some compassion for the practitioners for the Google searching. When I searched my name the first thing that came up was my website. The second thing that came up was my current license. The third, fourth, and fifth thing were the board disciplinary actions, which were hyperlinked directly to my board discipline action. It's something that I won't escape. It's something that won't go away. And I am doing my best to come to terms with that. But like I said, it affects everything in my life. The people that know me the best understand this, and they have compassion and empathy for me. They know it's not a complete, accurate representation of myself. And I try my absolute best to do the best that I can practicing naturopathic medicine in the state of Oregon and in general. And I'm an advocate for the medicine and other things related to naturopathic medicine. I'm simply asking, please make it a little bit more attainable for me to continue my business, practice medicine in this state, and allow me to have greater success. I have had a very difficult time attaining patients, and the patients that do want my services, we do end up having a conversation about this. So I've gotten good at talking about that, but it is still a giant hurdle. I went to school just like everyone else. I struggled just like everyone else. I thought my life would be practicing as a naturopathic physician would be a little bit easier than this, but I've chosen my own path, and it's just very difficult right now. And after my 3 years, I don't know what that looks like, if it's still going to be as difficult or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to make a public comment? Okay. All right. Seeing none. Do we have anything else, the board, for the good of the order?
What's on? I don't think anything else is on our.
Nothing else is on our agenda other than we should have had lunch by now, but we haven't. And it was our celebratory lunch for Dr. Walter, who has, and we have other celebratory things that are coming as soon as Robin comes back and gives us lunch. But I wanted to thank Dr. Walter for his all six, right? Or a little bit longer. All 6 years of service. From the early days and through the lockdown and pandemic and Zoom and you know, let's see. Okay. Through Zoom and lockdown and rule changes and God knows what else. You have been, the stalwart of the group, right? And thorough into everything, and really appreciate all of your hard work and your service. And I'm sorry that your celebratory lunch isn't here yet, but it will be here soon. And I really appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to the group. And thank you also for helping fill your shoes with a new member who I know is going to be awesome.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's been really an honor and a privilege to serve in this role. I know that I have become a better doctor because of it. And I encourage anybody that I talk to in any number of different licensing situations, like go serve on your board. It's going to make you so much better at what. So I think I've gotten a lot out of this beyond just bagels in the morning, lunch midday. And Mary Beth, thank you for your continued service to the board and to the public in this regard. I have learned so much from you in terms of how you think about things how you go about thinking about, first, being mission forward, our role is to protect the public, but also sort of guiding us through the process of how we think about cases and rules, what that public service looks like. So really appreciate it. And for the rest of you on the board, thank you. I know you all in different ways, in different capacities, different lengths of time, but it's really been an honor and a pleasure, and I hope you continue to enjoy doing this work. And you're going to be in great hands with Shihab. So I don't know how much you all reviewed his resume, but Dr. Shihab El-Hashmi trained as a physician in Egypt before he moved to Canada and served as a corpsman in the Canadian Navy, and then went to naturopathic school at Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine in Toronto. And then, of course, he was dean here at UNM for a few years. And now he lives down in Eugene, working as part of my clinical group. He's physically at a different clinic. He brings in an evidence base as well as an understanding of the ways that we as naturopathic physicians look at a lot of different ways of treating patients. So you're going to be in really great hands. He's going to be a great successor to me. So.
Well, we appreciate you. And as you know, Joanna pointed out, like, I always love when we have someone going off the board that we can like tap in and say like, oh, we need this opinion or that opinion, like we did with before we got Doc Martin, like we did with Dr. Gibbons. And so I appreciate that. I know that you will want to continue your service in one way or another.
Yeah.
As a volunteer.
We need to know the MMEs.
I know, yeah, exactly.
The big thing to remember is oxycodone converts at a 1.5.
Okay. Yeah, that's your parting words of.
Yeah.
That
That might have been,
that on the wall.
I was gonna say, that might have been information that we could
Converts at
have.
1.5.
Well, we're recording the Zoom, so we'll just rewind it.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Do we have CE to review?
Bill, we didn't do this last time. I'm doing it.
I know.
Unless it's technical, then I think Robin is emailing
Yeah.
people. Like I'm doing, the main the ones that I can read, the ones that have language that needs to be with someone else. Robin's sending those in that direction.
Okay. Public meeting adjourned at 1:29 p.m.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn public meeting.
Can I get that motion?
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Meeting's adjourned.
thank you. But I
Do we have to do it?
wait. Hold on. Yes, yeah, you do. Hold on, everybody, hold on, because I'm not. Mm, mm, mm. Oh,